Good day and welcome back to CoachCric. In today's video, we're going to be doing how to find the gaps as a batter. To accomplish this as a batter, we're going to go through 4 different stages, with each progression showing us how we're going to do it. In the first stage, we are going to use props to visualize where the fielders are and show where the gap is in between the fielders. But first and foremost, please comment below who you thought did which stump, Zendon or Byron, or which one's whose, and see how we go from there. So as I said earlier, we are going to use props to represent where the fielders are. So if we look over there, that's our one fielder, and if we look over there, that will be our other fielder. A lot of people think that you need to look at the fielders to hit it through the gaps, but then what you're doing is you're actually showing yourself where you're going to hit the ball. What you need to do is you need to find the gap itself. So we need to be looking at the gap as a whole. So you either find a reference point near where the gap is on the field here, or you find a reference point further along on the boundary where you can hit to. For the second stage, we are now going to move into the nets itself, and we're going to set up cones for the third man gap, the cover point gap, and the gap between extra cover and mid-off. That's the offside ones. Then from the leg side, we're going to look at the gap between mid-on and mid-wicket, and then the gap at square leg. How it's going to work is the batter's going to stand there in a set position already, without his gloves on, but everything else on. The coach is going to throw. As he throws, he's going to use a keyword. So we started with the offside first, and our keywords were fine, which is to the third man one, square, which is to the cover point one, square, and straight, which was towards the extra cover mid off gap. Straight. And then as you say that, the player's got to catch it and try and work the ball into that gap while still looking down. As he releases the ball with a throw, he can look up, or she can look up and see if it's going over the cone. If it's going over the cone, you have hit the gap. And this is one way to train us to keep working towards the gap and not another way around. And then you do the same thing on the leg side. And here again, we just use straight and square. Straight for the one between mid-wicket and mid-on, and square for the one between towards the square leg gap. Making sure that you're comfortable with the throws. Throw at different heights so the batter gets used to working it into the gaps from different areas. On top of that, generally fields are set in a certain way. The fielding positions are pretty standard. It would change depending on conditions, but the gap itself, if you're in the middle of the gap, will generally be a gap. This is sort of to train your brain and your mind to consistently work towards those gaps so that we can hit the gaps more often when we get into a game. For the third stage, we are now going to get the batter to put his gloves on and hold the bat. He's still going to be hitting from a stationary position, and the coach is still going to call out the keywords, and the batter is going to try and hit it there with just the use of his hands for now. Obviously, you wouldn't do this in a game, but it does train your hands and the bat to move towards the line of the gaps that you're trying to hit. As soon as we get into a game situation and you have the movement as well, that means that your head's going to get closer and your consistency will get even better with this. This is just to make sure that we're hitting towards the line of the gap as long as possible and making sure that we can see the ball off the bat going towards the gaps, as this is going to help us build confidence to be able to do it in a game situation.
I went on that on guys, but it was in your yo. I know. Square.
The final progression is we're still going to leave the cones as the gaps on the ground, and the throw is going to go over arm using a sidearm or his normal arm, but the point is to try and challenge the batsman a bit with this. The batter is then going to try and step towards it and hit it into the gaps, front foot, back foot, making sure that your movements are still good relative to the length of the ball. Making sure that we're hitting into the gaps as often as possible. If you are getting 6 out of 10 in this, the throwing is good enough and you've been put under enough pressure. If you're getting 9 or 10 out of 10 right away, it means that the pressure is not good enough, and then you're going to have to ramp it up a bit and try and hit different areas or increase in the pace. Try and challenge yourselves, because once you get into a game, if you challenge yourselves at the highest possible level that you could, when you get into the game, it's going to be that much easier and that much more comfortable. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, please remember to leave a like below. Also remember to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can get our information as soon as it releases. And also remember to comment and answer that question of the day.